The ripples spread outward, overlapping and interfering with each other. You can see the patterns forming, some areas where the waves strengthen, others where they cancel each other out. That simple ripple is a perfect introduction to the universe at its deepest level. What we see around us, trees, rocks, planets, even ourselves, behaves in ways that are surprisingly similar to waves. Not just metaphorically, but literally. Everything in the universe, from the smallest particles to light itself, can act like a wave. We usually think of waves as something obvious, like water moving in the ocean, sound traveling through air, or vibrations along a guitar string. But in the 20th century, physicists discovered that waves are much more fundamental than we had imagined. Light, for example, sometimes behaves like a tiny particle, a photon, and sometimes like a smooth, flowing wave. Electrons, the tiny building blocks of atoms, also behave in this dual way. They don't have a fixed position until we observe them. Instead, they spread out as a kind of probability cloud, existing in multiple places at once. It's as if the universe refuses to choose a single path until we ask it to. To make sense of this, imagine a crowd of people at a busy concert. You can describe the crowd as a collection of individual people, each moving independently, or you can describe it as a single flowing mass, like a fluid. Electrons are like that. They are both individual particles and a collective wave of possibilities. They have the ability to interfere with themselves, creating patterns that seem impossible if you think of them only as tiny balls. This wave-like behavior introduces a completely new way to understand reality. In classical physics, everything has a specific path. If you drop a ball, it falls predictably. You can measure its speed, its position, and its trajectory. But at the quantum level, the rules change. Particles are described by a wave function, a mathematical object that encodes all the possible locations and states the particle could be in. Until we make a measurement, the particle isn't in a single place, it exists in a superposition of possibilities. Reality at its core is probabilistic. This is hard to imagine because our brains evolved to handle a world of definite objects, clear paths, and direct cause and effect. We aren't built to intuitively grasp clouds of probabilities or particles that can exist in multiple places at once. Yet, despite how strange it seems, this is the reality we measure. Every experiment we do confirms it. Lasers, computers, medical imaging, all of these technologies depend on understanding and manipulating this wave like nature of matter. The universe works with astonishing precision, even if our senses struggle to comprehend it. Every ripple in a pond, every flicker of light, every electron moving through space is part of a vast, intricate web of waves. These waves cross, overlap, and interfere, creating the reality we perceive. The solid, stable world we touch and see is only the surface of a deeper, wave-like structure. It's a universe full of possibilities, where reality emerges from the patterns of interference between countless waves of probability, dancing together in ways our classical intuition cannot predict. Waves don't just exist passively, they interact. When two waves meet, they interfere with each other. Sometimes they amplify one another, forming a taller crest. Sometimes they cancel each other out, leaving calm water. Particles at the quantum level behave in a very similar way. An electron traveling through space doesn't move along a single path like a tiny marble. Instead, it spreads out like a wave, exploring multiple paths simultaneously. When these paths overlap, they interfere, creating patterns that seem almost magical to our everyday senses. The famous double-slit experiment captures this beautifully. Imagine firing electrons one by one at a wall with two tiny slits. You might expect that each electron goes through one slit or the other, hitting the screen behind randomly. But what appears on the screen is an interference pattern, a series of stripes, bright and dark, just like ripples overlapping in a pond. Each electron seems to know about both slits as if it were passing through both at the same time. It is only when we observe it directly that the electron chooses a specific spot. This demonstrates that the universe is not just a collection of solid particles moving through empty space. It is a dynamic sea of probabilities where possibilities interfere to create reality. The idea that particles are both waves and particles challenges everything we intuitively understand about the world. We think of things as being either solid or spread out, but quantum objects defy that categorization. A photon can act like a particle when we try to detect it, but like a wave when it travels. Electrons, protons, and even larger molecules under the right conditions display the same behavior. Nature at its smallest scales is inherently flexible, resistant to being pinned down by our limited concepts. One way to imagine this is to picture throwing a coin in a dark forest. Instead of landing heads or tails immediately, it hovers in a blur of possibilities until someone peaks. That blur isn't just ignorance on our part. It is how the particle exists. Reality at this level is not predetermined in the classical sense. It is fundamentally probabilistic, a continuous cloud of potential outcomes. Every measurement, every observation collapses that cloud into a definite result. But before that, the universe is a wave of possibilities. This leads to a strange and counterintuitive insight. The act of observation is not passive. Observing a particle is not like opening a box to see what's inside. The very act of measurement forces the universe to make a choice among the possibilities. The world we perceive, solid and predictable, is the result of countless interactions, countless collapses of probability waves into the reality we experience. The wave, like nature of the universe, explains why quantum physics works so well even when it seems impossible. Semiconductors, lasers, and superconductors rely on interference patterns, probability waves, and superposition. The technology we take for granted every day depends on exploiting the same strange behaviors that confound our intuition. Reality may be strange, but it is precise, reliable, and mathematically beautiful. The universe, in this sense, is a symphony of overlapping waves, probabilities colliding and combining to form the world we inhabit. Solid objects, definite events, and measurable outcomes are the result of interference patterns among countless quantum possibilities. The universe is not simply matter in motion. It is a dynamic network of potential, a living tapestry of waves interacting in ways we are only beginning to grasp. When we think about waves and probabilities, the universe starts to feel less like a machine and more like a living, shifting network. The patterns we see, the stars, the planets, even our own bodies, are emergent outcomes of countless waves interacting over time. What is fascinating is that these quantum waves are not limited to small particles. Light, electrons, atoms, and even molecules can behave like waves. Under the right conditions, molecules with hundreds of atoms have been shown to interfere with themselves, creating patterns that demonstrate their underlying wave nature, the boundary between the microscopic and macroscopic world. The world we see and touch is not as clear-cut as we might think. The weirdness of quantum mechanics forces us to reconsider the idea of reality itself. If a particle can exist in multiple places at once, then reality is not a fixed, static construct. Instead, it is a landscape of possibilities, with certain outcomes realized only when they interact with other systems or are observed. Every moment in the universe is a collapse of potential into reality, a decision among infinite possibilities. Yet most of the time, these collapses happen so quickly and collectively that the world appears smooth and predictable. Consciousness adds an even more intriguing dimension. We don't yet understand fully how consciousness emerges or interacts with the quantum world, but the act of observation is clearly fundamental. When we measure a quantum particle, we influence its outcome. Observation is not a passive recording of reality. It is an active participant in the formation of reality. In some interpretations of quantum physics, the universe without observation remains in a state of superposition, a vast, intricate web of probabilities that never settles into a single reality until it interacts with something capable of observing it. Even if consciousness itself does not collapse probabilities, everything in the universe is constantly interacting, constantly influencing outcomes. Particles collide, waves overlap, fields fluctuate. The universe is a massive network of interference patterns where one event subtly shapes another, and the sum of these interactions gives rise to the ordered reality we perceive. What we call deterministic laws are statistical outcomes of vast numbers of probabilistic events. The solidity of the table you sit at The sunlight streaming through the window, the motion of planets, these are all the result of quantum waves averaging out, reinforcing certain patterns and canceling others. This perspective challenges our classical intuition. In our everyday experience, objects appear fixed, discrete, and predictable. But beneath that layer lies a sea of waves vibrating with possibilities, interacting in ways that defy common sense. The universe is not a clockwork mechanism, but a vast, flowing, probabilistic system. Our reality emerges from patterns, interference, and probability collapses that give the appearance of solidity and certainty. Understanding this even partially allows us to see the universe not as a static container, but as a dynamic, living tapestry constantly in flux. In this wave-like universe, nothing is truly separate. Every particle, every wave, every interaction contributes to the greater pattern. We are not isolated observers of reality. We are participants, part of the ongoing dance of waves that creates the universe moment by moment. To see reality in this way is both humbling and exhilarating. It is a reminder that the universe is far stranger and more beautiful than our senses alone can reveal. It is a place where waves and probabilities give rise to everything we experience, and where curiosity, observation, and thought are deeply entwined with the very fabric of existence. As we explore this wave-like universe, a profound idea begins to emerge. The world we experience is not the full story. What we see, touch, and measure is just the tip of a much deeper reality, a surface impression of an underlying sea of possibilities. Every particle, every photon, every ripple of energy carries within it a spectrum of potential outcomes. Reality is constantly forming and reforming as these possibilities interfere, combine and collapse into the events we observe. The universe is not merely happening to us, it is happening through us, and every interaction matters in ways we are only beginning to grasp. This wave perspective also reshapes how we think about time and causality. In classical physics, the past causes the present, which causes the future. But at the quantum level, possibilities are not confined by a single timeline. Particles explore multiple paths simultaneously, as if the universe is testing all potential outcomes at once. Our perception of a linear progression is a product of waves of probability settling into patterns we can observe. The certainty we take for granted, the predictability of clocks and planets, arises from the collective behavior of countless quantum events. It is order emerging from a sea of possibilities. Even though the universe is fundamentally probabilistic, there is incredible structure and coherence. Waves interfere constructively, building galaxies, stars, and planets. Waves cancel destructively, preventing chaos from overwhelming order. This interplay gives rise to the universe as we know it, a cosmos that is both fluid and structured, unpredictable and stable. From this perspective, randomness is not a flaw but a feature, a mechanism through which complexity, diversity, and beauty arise. The same principles that govern tiny electrons also shape the motions of galaxies across the cosmos. The universe is astonishingly consistent in its underlying logic, even when its surface behavior seems strange or counterintuitive. Our own existence becomes even more fascinating when viewed through this lens. The matter of our bodies, the neurons firing in our brains, the thoughts we experience, all are composed of waves of probability interacting and interfering. We are not separate from the universe. We are expressions of its wave-like nature. Consciousness itself, though not yet fully understood, emerges from the patterns of quantum events that underlay the structure of reality. The observer and the observed are not strictly distinct. They are intertwined in the dance of possibilities that forms the world. Ultimately, seeing the universe as a wave invites us to think differently about reality, knowledge, and our place in the cosmos. The universe is not a static stage with actors moving predictably across it. It is a living, dynamic system where observation, interaction, and probability shape the events we witness. It is both stranger and more beautiful than our classical intuition allows. To understand even a fraction of this is to glimpse the deep fabric of existence, where waves, interference, and probability create the cosmos moment by moment. Reality is fluid, interconnected, and astonishingly precise. Every event is part of a larger pattern. Every wave contributes to the cosmic symphony, and every observer is part of the ongoing creation of the universe. When we embrace this view, the world is no longer a collection of fixed objects. It is a web of possibilities, a dance of waves, and a living tapestry that invites curiosity, exploration, and wonder. The universe is not just around us, it flows through us, and through understanding its wave, like nature, we see that the cosmos and we are inseparable, endlessly connected in the infinite dance of existence. When we step back and look at the universe as a whole, the wave perspective begins to reveal something extraordinary. Every galaxy, star, and planet, every electron and photon is part of a vast network of interacting waves. Reality is not a collection of separate, independent objects. It is a continuous, dynamic web of probability and interference. What we perceive as solid and fixed is merely the outcome of countless waves combining, reinforcing some patterns while canceling others. The universe is not a static machine, but a living tapestry, endlessly shifting and reshaping itself at every scale. This view challenges our most basic assumptions about existence. We like to think of ourselves as separate, as individual observers in a world of stable objects. Yet, the wave nature of reality suggests that we are inseparable from the processes that create the world we experience. The particles that make up our bodies are constantly interacting with the environment, exchanging energy, information, and probability. Every thought, every action, every perception is part of this continuous wave like dance. We are not isolated observers, but active participants in the formation of reality itself. One of the most profound implications of this view is how it reshapes our understanding of cause and effect. In the classical world, one event leads predictably to another. But in the quantum wave universe, causality is a complex interplay of probabilities. A single electron can explore countless paths simultaneously, influencing the outcome of multiple events before a measurement collapses the possibilities into a definite result. The universe is a feedback loop of probabilities, where the present is a consequence not only of the past, but of countless overlapping possibilities that are continuously interacting. The past is not a single fixed path, but a set of probabilities that have converged to create what we perceive. This understanding does not make the universe chaotic. On the contrary, it explains why order and structure emerge from underlying randomness. The waves that compose reality interfere in ways that create galaxies, stars, planets, and life itself. The universe is both unpredictable at the smallest scales and remarkably precise at larger scales. This balance between uncertainty and structure allows complexity to arise, from the chemistry of molecules to the intricate patterns of consciousness. Life, intelligence, and thought are not anomalies, but natural consequences of a universe built on waves, interference, and probability. Embracing the universe as a wave also transforms our sense of connection. Everything is part of a continuum of probabilities, where one wave overlaps with another. The universe is a single, interconnected system, and our lives, thoughts, and actions are threads woven into its fabric. We are not spectators of reality, we are participants in its ongoing creation. Every observation, every interaction, every choice contributes to the unfolding of the universe in ways both subtle and profound. Understanding this changes how we see ourselves and our place in the cosmos. Ultimately, the universe as a wave invites humility and wonder. It shows that reality is far stranger, more intricate, and more beautiful than our everyday perception allows. The world is not fixed, but a living, breathing symphony of possibilities where every particle, wave, and observer plays a part in the cosmic dance. Seeing reality this way reveals a universe that is not only physical, but profoundly relational, where existence itself is a dynamic process, a constant unfolding of patterns, and a testament to the elegance and mystery of nature. When we consider the universe as a vast web of waves, it changes the way we understand everything, from the smallest particles to the largest galaxies, from the tiniest flicker of light to the neurons firing in our brains. The universe is not a collection of solid, independent objects moving predictably through space. It is a dynamic, interconnected system, a dance of probabilities and possibilities. Every particle, every photon, every ripple of energy contributes to a constantly evolving tapestry. and what we experience as reality is the emergent pattern formed by countless interactions. This perspective dissolves the boundaries between observer and observed. We often think of reality as something outside ourselves, something we passively perceive. But in a wave-based universe, observation is an active part of reality. By measuring, interacting, or even thinking about a system, we are participating in the collapse of possibilities into a definite outcome. Consciousness may be deeply entangled with the universe's wave like fabric, not because it magically controls reality, but because the very act of observation is inseparable from the process by which possibilities become actual events. We are part of the universe's unfolding, not merely witnesses to it. Understanding this challenges our notions of determinism and free will. In a classical worldview, the future is a fixed chain of cause and effect. In a wave universe, the future is a landscape of probabilities, influenced by countless interactions, yet guided by patterns of interference that create stability and order. The certainty we rely on in everyday life emerges from the collective behavior of innumerable quantum events, averaging out into the predictable phenomena we experience. Life, consciousness, and even civilization arise as natural consequences of this delicate balance between randomness and order. It also reveals the profound unity of existence. If everything is waves interacting, then nothing exists in isolation. Each atom in our bodies has traveled through countless cosmic processes, interacting with particles, radiation, and forces that stretch across space and time. Each photon that illuminates a tree, each particle in the air we breathe is part of the same wave-like network. We are not separate from the universe. We are its continuation, an expression of the same dynamic, probabilistic processes that created stars, planets, and galaxies. The philosophical implication is astonishing. Reality is not fixed, and the universe is not merely a backdrop for our lives. It is a living, breathing system of probabilities where every interaction matters and every observer contributes to the unfolding pattern. The solidity and permanence we perceive are illusions created by waves interfering in consistent ways. Beneath the surface, reality is fluid, relational, and profoundly interconnected. Seeing the universe in this way transforms not only how we understand physics, but how we see ourselves as participants in a cosmic dance inseparably woven into the fabric of existence. To perceive the universe as waves is to glimpse the true elegance and strangeness of nature. It is to understand that the world is not a static stage, but an ongoing symphony of probabilities, interference, and interaction. It is to recognize that reality is not only physical, but deeply relational, shaped by the interplay of countless possibilities. And it is to realize that we, like everything else, are waves in this infinite cosmic dance, momentarily manifesting patterns, observing the universe, and participating in its endless unfolding. In this way, science and philosophy converge, revealing a universe that is simultaneously mysterious, beautiful, and alive, a universe where understanding even a fraction of its wave, like nature, can forever change the way we see reality. If we continue to follow the logic of the universe as a wave, the next realization is both humbling and exhilarating. Every event, every particle, every interaction is part of an intricate cosmic symphony where nothing exists in isolation. The universe is not composed of separate, independent objects, but of interdependent patterns of probability and interference. At every moment, countless possibilities interact, some amplifying each other, some canceling out until a coherent reality emerges. What we perceive as stability, solidity, and certainty is only the net result of an immense network of overlapping waves. The world we experience is like the crest of a vast ocean. Beneath it lies a hidden world of motion, potential, and possibility. This perspective reshapes how we think about identity, consciousness, and our place in the cosmos. The atoms that make up our bodies have passed through stars, clouds, oceans, and soil. Each of these particles carries within it a history of interactions, a record of countless waves merging over billions of years. In a universe made of waves, every living being is a temporary manifestation of patterns in an immense sea of probability. Consciousness emerges from this complex web of interactions, arising not from a single particle or molecule, but from the coordinated interference of countless quantum events. Our thoughts, memories, and experiences are themselves waves, patterns interacting with other waves, continuously shaping and being shaped by the universe. This idea also challenges our understanding of cause and effect. At the classical level, we are taught that the past determines the future. But in a wave universe, the future is a landscape of potentialities. Particles explore many paths simultaneously, and reality is a selection from infinite possibilities. The events we witness are the result of probabilities converging, interference patterns reinforcing certain outcomes while canceling others. Determinism is not abandoned, it is refined. The apparent predictability of the macroscopic world emerges from the statistical behavior of countless microscopic probabilities. What seems random at the smallest scale gives rise to order, structure, and even life itself at larger scales. This interconnected wave, like reality, also forces us to reconsider how we relate to the universe and to each other. If everything is fundamentally waves interacting, then separation is an illusion. Every interaction we have, every thought, every action, every observation ripples through the network of probabilities, subtly influencing the unfolding of reality. In this view, we are not isolated beings navigating a fixed universe. We are active participants in a vast, dynamic, interconnected system. Our lives, our choices, and even our awareness are threads in the cosmic tapestry. Momentary expressions of the universal wave. To see the universe this way is to recognize both its strangeness and its beauty. The cosmos is not a rigid machine or a predictable clockwork. It is fluid, dynamic, and relational. It is a symphony of probability, interference, and interaction, endlessly creating patterns and possibilities. The wave nature of reality shows us that existence is not fixed, but emergent. Every observation, every interaction, every choice contributes to the ongoing creation of the universe. We are not mere spectators, we are participants, co-creators, and witnesses to the infinite dance of waves. Understanding the universe as waves transforms not only our physics, but our philosophy. It invites curiosity, humility, and wonder. It teaches us that reality is stranger and more interconnected than we imagine, that we are inseparable from the cosmos, and that even a fleeting glance into the wave-like nature of existence can forever change the way we see the world. The universe is not just around us. It flows through us. It is alive in its probabilities, vibrant in its interactions, and endlessly unfolding in patterns of unimaginable complexity and beauty. The wave nature of the universe also reshapes how we think about reality itself. We are conditioned to believe in a solid, fixed world where objects exist independently and events unfold predictably. But at the quantum level, this is not the case. Reality is fluid, relational, and probabilistic. Every particle, every photon, every ripple of energy is part of a network of interacting possibilities. What we experience as a stable, tangible world is merely the outcome of these countless waves overlapping, interfering, and reinforcing certain patterns while canceling others. The solidity we take for granted is an emergent phenomenon, the visible tip of a much deeper, dynamic structure. The implications extend to consciousness, perception, and the way we understand our own existence. Every thought, feeling, or observation we have is not isolated. Our consciousness is the product of waves of interactions within our brains, which themselves are composed of countless quantum events. Each neuron firing, each synapse transmitting signals is an expression of wave-like interactions that mirror the same principles shaping the cosmos. In this sense, our minds are microcosms of the universe itself, embodying its wave-like behavior. We are not detached observers, but participants in a system of probabilities, contributing to the unfolding of reality at every moment. This perspective also challenges our understanding of time. Classical physics gives us a neat, linear progression: past, present, future. In a wave-based universe, time is more subtle. Particles explore many possible paths simultaneously, and the future is a landscape of probabilities only partially constrained by the past. Events occur not solely because of a strict chain of causes, but because interference patterns select certain outcomes from countless possibilities. The deterministic world we perceive emerges from the averaging of these underlying probabilities, giving rise to order, stability, and predictability. What seems fixed is a statistical product of an inherently uncertain and dynamic universe. Seeing reality this way transforms our relationship with the cosmos. We are not small, isolated beings in a mechanical universe. We are threads in the infinite tapestry of interacting waves, inseparable from the patterns that give rise to stars, planets, life, and thought. Every action, every observation, every decision sends ripples through this network, subtly influencing the unfolding of events. In a sense, we are co-creators of reality, not by imposing our will, but by participating in the ongoing interplay of probabilities and interactions. The universe is astonishingly interconnected. The same laws of wave interference that govern tiny electrons also govern the formation of galaxies. The interactions of subatomic particles echo through the cosmos, shaping structures on a massive scale. Waves of probability are the language of the universe, and understanding that language allows us to see connections that were previously invisible. Science becomes not just a method for measuring the world, but a way to perceive the hidden unity behind the chaos, to glimpse the patterns underlying existence itself. Ultimately, seeing the universe as a web of waves is a revelation. It shows that the world is not static or isolated, but vibrant, interconnected, and continuously evolving. Reality is not a collection of independent objects, but a dynamic living system of probabilities and possibilities. Every moment is a manifestation of countless waves interacting, a fleeting but essential pattern in the ongoing dance of the cosmos. When we internalize this view, it changes how we see ourselves, our lives, and the universe. We are not separate from reality, we are expressions of it, intertwined with the infinite symphony of waves that creates existence itself.